I think the answer to my least favorite subject might surprise some of you. Hi everybody, welcome back to Project Happy Home. For those of you who are new here, I'm Tanya, an MD JD turned stay-at-home mom of 3 kids ages 7, 4, and 2. I was tagged to do the homeschool tag by Rachel at Day to Day Joys, and I'm just going to get into it. I haven't given it too much thought, so forgive me if I pause. Okay, question number 1. Were you homeschooled? I was not homeschooled. In fact, if you add up all the years that I have been in school, from pre-K through all my years of grad school, I think it comes out somewhere close to 21 or 22 years. The traditional school format suited my personality pretty well. I definitely bent the rules or broke the rules when I felt ideologically opposed to something, but my grades were good enough that it could usually withstand my obstinance at times. For example, did you always know that you'd homeschool your children? No, not at all. In fact, the homeschooled kids that I grew up with were a little strange at times. And so I had definitely all those preconceived notions of homeschooled kids that I think a lot of traditionally educated people, especially in our generation, have. But one thing I will say is a lot of the homeschooled kids I knew back then actually went on to pursue exactly what they said they would pursue, which I admire so much and gives me a lot of peace now that I have embarked on homeschooling my own children. Number 3, what are your 3 favorite books in your homeschool library? I think I will have to come back to this question. I should have taken a better look at this. I will say though, really fast, just off the top of my head, one of them is right behind me. And actually I could say all 3 of these, but we haven't used them enough. But one of them is this book, Maps. And I did a full flip through of this book in my Costco haul video, my last Costco haul video, which I will link up above. But it is gorgeous and definitely something I will cherish. Another one of the books that I think is one of my favorites is this book down here, My Bookhouse Volume 1 in the Nursery. I picked up the Bookhouse series from eBay. Apparently it was an older series that a lot of people had in their homes. Perhaps your grandparents had it. In the Nursery, without a doubt, is hands down my favorite. I think you can skip the rest of them, honestly, especially if you are a secular, eclectic, more liberal type of homeschooler. But this one is just so beautiful, and I'll put this up just so you can see. But it goes through a lot of our familiar American nursery rhymes with these gorgeous illustrations, and then follows into rhymes from different countries. Like here's rhymes from Ireland, Welsh and Scotch rhymes, Chinese nursery rhymes, rhymes from Shakespeare, Tennyson, poems by Christina Rossetti. I would say from the time my daughter was 2 through 3, this was the book she asked for every single night. You know, another book that I've been living right now is Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And I was really reluctant to start that book because my son is pretty much, he taught himself how to read, so I didn't really have that much to do with it. Honestly, I read aloud to him, and at a certain point he started picking up how to read. And so by the time he was 4, he was already a reader. My daughter, on the other hand, even though I read aloud to her just the same, certainly did not pick up on how to put sounds together and phonics as quickly. And so when I was consciously trying to start teaching her how to read this spring, I was unsure of how to begin, really, because having never done it, I didn't know what resource to start with. I happened to have Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, and so I started with that. And the first few lessons were rough going, but she is reading now, at least short words, and she definitely understands the concept of how words are put together, and I'm really impressed. So yeah, those 3 are 3 favorites that off the top of my head come to me. Of course, as you can tell from the bookshelves behind me, I have too many books to pick a favorite, and it is continuously evolving, and I really do love so many of them that I could not possibly limit it to 3. Number 4, are you the only teacher? So I am not the only teacher. I would say that I handle the main curriculum, the stuff that we have set down in a planner to do, most of the paperwork, the read alouds, etc. But I definitely pull in my husband for the more explosive science types of things that we do. He used to be a chem TA and he's very enthusiastic about that stuff. And we also go to a local science museum for our nature science classes. I am outdoorsy, but more so in cold weather, and living in Texas, there's not that much of the cold weather season here. Just to make sure that my children are outside hiking in nature and learning about bugs and plants and all those good things, I have them enrolled in a science and nature class. That's once a week. My daughter goes to the preschool one. My son goes to the older first through third grade group one, I believe. Another thing we'll be doing next year is joining a science class that is a private science class put out by one of the homeschooling parents in the area, and he's been doing it for years. He is a PhD and a chemistry professor in college who also happens to homeschool his kids, and he does this science class through his house. We also participated in a co-op this year, CC, so we definitely had a wonderful tutor and everything. Although we won't be continuing CC next year, it was definitely a great experience to see other kids involved in learning the same information, and I think that was really helpful to my son. Especially, my daughter was bored out of her mind in the 4-year-old CC group, but and we'll be participating in another co-op hopefully next year, and it'll be a very different style, but I'll tell you more about that as it happens. So no, in no way am I my child's only teacher. My son goes to electric guitar lessons somewhere else. He also goes to Taekwondo 3 times a week. So I like to think that they have a lot of different adult influences and voices that are helping shape their character in ways that I approve of. Number 5, where is your favorite place to buy homeschool curriculum? Hello, my name is Tanya, and I am an online homeschool curriculum shopping junkie. Today is day 1 of my recovery. I am not restrained when it comes to buying homeschool curriculum online. My husband will tell you that I go overboard, and I think he has told you in other husband and homeschool dad tags, but this is my first foray into homeschooling, especially this past year. I really wanted to try a bunch of different types of curricula and types of manipulatives to see what would appeal to my children the best. And I think I have a much better handle on it now. And in fact, I haven't bought that much new stuff going into next year, because I think I might have bought everything I needed for the next 5 years. So yeah, I'm working on it. It's online is definitely my favorite place. It's in terms of shops, I would say Zulily.com often has sales on manipulatives and companies like Melissa and Doug and Carson DeLosa, educational supplies, and also Evan Moore. And I'm not affiliated with Zulily. I just think they have good deals. And another place is Amazon. Obviously, another place is thrift stores, though I do think that I can go overboard in thrift store curriculum shopping, and I've tried to stop buying curricula books, like actual workbooks from thrift stores, because I realize that oftentimes I'll just find something better that I would rather use, and you just don't have time to use it all. So I'm taking advice from Michelle over at A Common Life, who said, stop doing that. So Michelle, I'm going to stop doing that. Number 6 is whether I have a set budget for my homeschool. I certainly don't have a set budget for my homeschool. However, I do try to log all of my purchases so that I can maintain in my head sort of a running total. And if that total starts to look absurd, I shut down any kind of purchasing for the next few months so that I can scale back and organize everything I have and see if there's anything that I already have that I can use. What are my 2 must-have homeschooling supplies? Number 1 would be a laminator. I have used my laminator 10,000 times, and it has come in so much handy, especially for Dollar Tree items and printables and things that I want to make last longer than perhaps just a piece of cardstock would last or a piece of paper. So I run them through my laminator, and they're ours forever for all 3 kids. And my other must-have item is a laser printer. For those of you who are using those free ink or those ink replacement services, and things like that. I did the math on those, and a good laser printer still saves you money in the long run. My laser printer is a color laser printer, and if you guys are interested in knowing exact details on that or specifications, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to let you know what it is. I have been so happy with it. It has never failed or had an issue with wireless connection, and I believe one black cartridge will get you 2,500 pages at full bleed. So if you print in grayscale, that greatly reduces down on your ink uptake, and I can print far more than that. I would say almost twice as much as that. Number 8, what is your favorite and least favorite subject to teach? I would say that my favorite subject to teach, without question, is language arts and reading. And you can kind of tell that from how much language arts and reading curricula and supplies that I have. I'm the most enthusiastic about it. There are some things that I very much do not believe in. For example, I'm not a huge advocate of vocab, and you might be surprised to know that, but as a person who got a perfect score on the SAT verbal section twice, I'll tell you that I never ever studied vocab, and I just read a lot. So I think that you could spend those 10, 15, 20 minutes a day you spend on vocab and just read aloud to your kids, or have your kids read aloud to you, or read silently, and I think that is time well spent, and I think vocab will be absorbed into them by osmosis from the pages of the book. I think the answer to my least favorite subject might surprise some of you, because at this stage in the game, in early elementary, it's actually science. I love higher science. I love medicine and anatomy and physiology and biology. I do not enjoy early elementary science. I find it mind-numbingly boring. Maybe because I know it really well, but also I think it's just really boring. That's just the truth. So I really appreciate being able to send my kids to another person's house where we all sit around and do the experiments there and have fun. But yeah, growing rock crystals really doesn't excite me, so I thought it would more, but it does not. Though I will say that part of the reason I find science my least favorite subject to teach at this stage is because I very much didn't like the curricula we got for science this year, and so perhaps I'll like it better next year when I try something that works for us better. Or perhaps I'll write my own. If any of you are interested, by the way, in an elementary school level anatomy or physiology kind of curriculum, let me know, because I've been toying with the idea of creating one, and if there is interest, I'd be happy to share it. Number 9 is whether I've been involved in any co-ops or homeschool groups. Like I said, we did do Classical Conversations this year. Classical Conversations is a Christian-based homeschooling co-op, which in retrospect was probably a bad idea on my part. Though I will say that all the people I met there were very kind, though it was a little difficult to establish a sense of community there simply because our family is so very different than them, and they are so involved in a lot of their church communities. But I'll talk more about our experience with CC in another video. I definitely wouldn't rule it out if you are a secular homeschooler, curiously enough. Number 10 is the final question, and is what is our homeschooling style? So Charlotte Mason, eclectic, Thomas Jefferson, what have you. I would say I am eclectic, 100%. Every time I read more about any particular homeschooling philosophy and the people who have employed it in their households well, I am drawn to it. And so what I do is I take the pieces that I think will fit in our family and I tweak it to make it fit for our family. And I think that's really important. I think it's too easy to become mentally and emotionally wedded to any one homeschooling curricula or homeschooling philosophy. I think your family is unique. I think it's always evolving. I think if Charlotte Mason worked for you when your kids were smaller, it might not work for you when your kids are a little bit older. I think that if classical homeschooling didn't work for you when your kids were younger, it might work for you later when your kids are older. Right now, we try to pull and piece together what is working for us. I think there's a lot of information out there, and I think it's easy to get inundated by it. But if you just come back to what type of family you actually have and how your kids actually learn, and also how you as a parent and a teacher like to teach. If you combine those three things, your family, you as a teacher, and your kid as a learner, and then piece together parts of different philosophies that will work for those three things, I think you'll have a good structure or framework for your homeschool. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed my answers. If you have any other questions or anything, please list them down below. And I can't wait to see other people's homeschool tag. Please hit the thumbs up down below and don't forget to subscribe. I'll be tagging some other moms, so stay tuned to see who you are. As always, I wish you a wonderful day.